Welcome, everyone. I would like to introduce Yaniv Miron, an MC, and we're going to talk about hardware hacking. And about the questions, if you have any during or after the presentation, just raise your hand and I'll give you the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, so hi everybody, that's our slides. F0k Day Will Pwn U with Hardware Mofos. I'm Yaniv Miron, that's MC.
Hello everyone. Also, big thanks to the organizers, really nice con, because they lost our luggage when we came here, but the con people helped to get the luggage back, so we wouldn't be able to do this presentation. It wasn't for them, so big thanks to them. Okay, so MC, my name is MC. I do security assessments and pen tests. There you go.
Yeah, so my nickname is Lament, also doing some security stuff, certified locksmith, doing some interesting stuff. Ford Consult, that's a company that we work at, established 2002, and we're doing some nice stuff in there. So the agenda is actually, what the hell is hardware hacking? So probably some of you thought about like modding, improving your processor and things like that. But what we're saying is that we will show you some tools, some hardware tools to use in your hacking or in your pen test or things like that. And those are actually things that we tried and they're working. And actually we're going to show you 5 live demos on stage because we believe that you don't need just to speak about stuff, you need to prove it. So we will try to prove things. We hope that everything will go smoothly because it's pretty hard to show 5 live demos. And then how to build your kit. So we actually will recommend you where to buy stuff and how to build your own hardware hacking kit. So those are a few things you need to know ahead. If you don't know those, just leave the room now, please. That's our office, just so you'll know. That's how it looks like.
So we're not from South Bronx, but that's kind of what it looks like,
Yeah. So what we're saying is that a lot of hackers and pen testers are focusing like OWASP top 10 and those kind of things. And we're thinking that that's not the thing at the moment. Because yes, you can use like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, those kind of things. But we're saying that with our hardware hacking tools, you'll get probably 90-something% of success instead of doing some OWASP stuff or other things. And I would say that many people are actually ignoring the things that we're doing when they're formalizing some sort of security policy to the organization.
So this guy Relic from TrustedSec did a pretty cool presentation a while back where he talked about the long tail of information security. So we sort of stole a slide, but we gave him credit, so hopefully it's okay. So we actually put hardware hacking, as you can see there, at the beginning of the tail, which means at the beginning of the tail you'll have attacks that are quite frequent and doesn't require that much effort in terms of skill or finance, right? So a lot of the things we're going to show you here are actually quite easy to do and not that expensive. And we really feel that these sort of things should be part of pen tests because often what happens is, like Jan mentioned, the scope is quite reduced, right? They'll tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But if you really want to show how an attacker would pwn your organization or company and steal data, some of these things actually work pretty well.
So those are the things that you need to build the same kit as we have in here. So you need some money, of course. We'll show you what to buy. You need a shipping address, and sometimes you need a US shipping address. There is some tricks to do it. We'll not talk about it in that presentation, but just so you'll know. And of course, you need to spend some time and learn, because we're just going to show you in very general the things that we're doing, but you'll have to actually go deep on those things.
So our first little point on our agenda is FireWire. A lot of people have probably heard about this because remember, like we say, fuck 0 days. This is not 0 days. This has been around for a decade now or longer, but it still works actually pretty good. So remember, FireWire will actually allow you to have direct access to memory, so you can read and write it, right? So if you can actually attack your target machine with FireWire and establish communication, you will be able to read and write memory, right? And that's pretty good. So we're not going to go into all the details. We don't have time now. You can, if you don't know these things, you can Google some more about the protocols. There's something called SBP2, Serial Bus Protocol 2. So again, the important things here is what I said before. It's actually that you will have direct memory access. So there's a mapping between the physical memory space and the device in hardware, as it says there. Okay, so when you need to establish a FireWire communication between your attack machine and the target machine, of course you need to have a FireWire interface. So what happens often is that you might not have that on the target machine, but it just happens that a lot of laptops still today have some sort of slot, like you have a PCMCI, that's kind of old school, but also more modern PCI Express card slots, right? So even if the machine does not have a FireWire interface, you can actually just buy one of these adapters, slap them in there, and then you will be able to connect to a FireWire. And what we've done in the past as well is even Pwn servers, because if you have physical access to the server, you can just open it up and plop in, as you can see the top picture there, a FireWire interface card, right? So that's kind of fun. Again, some history about this. It's been around for a very long time, like I said, almost a decade now. So there's a bunch of research done like in 2004 by a guy called Dornseif. Maybe I mispronounced his name. And then there's the guy on the picture, my hero, Metal Storm, KiwiCon. I'm not sure if you've been there. Awesome con. He wrote a tool called Pwn back in the day, which worked really well. But then there's been a lot of updates to these sort of attacks. And right now, the best tool to use is a tool called Inception, which we'll show you later. It's by a Norwegian guy called Karsten. So props to him. You can see the site there, break and enter. You can go there, download that stuff. And to run Inception, you need to have a Linux machine. You need to have the latest Juju FireWire stack drivers, Python 3, and some libforensic stuff. And that will allow you to, I would say, take over most of the modern sort of operating systems that you'll come across in most organizations. You can see there are Windows, 7, 8, XP, some Mac OS 10 stuff, even some Linux variants like Ubuntu and even Mint. And okay, so when we do these sort of things, we use Karsten's tool called Inception. And it's pretty awesome because, like I said, a lot of big corporates like banks and stuff like that, they have actually hardened their laptops, but they have sort of forgot about the FireWire part. So often what happens is they even have like Bitlocker for disk encryption on a typical sort of corporate machine with Windows 7. And if someone finds it, if you can turn it on, right, and it comes all the way up to the screen where you actually put your username and password, we, for the most part, can actually pwn it with the FireWire, because usually they have not hardened it. So, why do we care about that? Because, like I said before, if you have direct memory access, read and write, right, you can actually just dump the memory. And in memory, you'll find useful things like keys, passwords, stuff like that. Or you can actually unlock the machine, because we can actually, with this tool, search for an offset and a patch, and look for the DLL in Windows, for instance, where you actually put your password and just overwrite that, so we can put any password. And that's sort of what the tool looks like when you run it. So we're going to do a little demo here. This machine is actually a Windows 7 machine that has actually Bitlocker enabled. I'll show you that here. Let's see down here. So maybe it's a bit hard to see, but you can see there it's actually enabled Bitlocker, right? So it's encrypted. And that's sort of the typical machine we come across. I mean, to be honest, a lot of companies don't have like pre-boot authentication and stuff like that, because it doesn't scale across an organization. It's just too cumbersome for them to have it, right? So if we actually log out of this machine, see here, Alice has a password. So if we type in some mumbo jumbo here, you'll see that. Yeah, or blank. Blank, it doesn't work, right? So if you, hold up.
Yeah. Okay, so now what MC will do is actually he's going to plug one PCMCI card to the Linux machine, the attack machine, and the other one to the victim machine. And that's, as we said, the fully patched Windows 7 with BitLocker on, so it should be encrypted. And we will try to pop that machine. So it should have, we should be able to log in with a blank password to that Windows machine. Because of some technical difficulties, we can show you only one screen in here. So we're running it on the Linux machine. and you probably won't be able to see it. We just show you that image in there. Okay. So what it's going to do is going to run on the RAM. There is 2 gigs of RAM in that machine. It's going to run on those 2 gigs, try to find the specific signature. Yeah.
You can see that's kind of inception, like what we showed before is running now. So it's searching through the memory. So it's connected over FireWire. It's looking for the offset, and when it finds it, it will patch it, So it's just searching through now. Again, this is live demo. Usually this is actually pretty rock solid, but Murphy's Law, when something is not supposed to fuck up, it will. Hopefully not this time. Let's see. So it's searching through. It's at 200 megs now. Usually we'll pop this machine around like 400. That has like 2 gigs of RAM. Let's see, we're at 300 now. It's interesting to note that we've had some companies where we do this, where they actually spent a lot of time to try to harden FireWire, but this attack still works. So sometimes what happens is that companies spend time to do it, and yeah, you can't really see here, but it actually found the offset and patched in memory now, so we should be able to log in with any passwords. We're just going to do a blank one. Yeah, so there you go. And remember, this is an offensive talk, so we're not going to spend time on sort of how you defend against this. If you want to know about stuff, you can come see us later, because we have to continue with some other stuff. Again, to do this, you can check our slides later, where you can buy some of these things. But for this one, all you need really is some FireWire cards that fit your target and attack machine, right? So you can check our slides later where you can buy these things. But Amazon, whatever, it's cheap stuff.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to show is actually Teensy, and Teensy is a very small device. So that's a Teensy. It has a small brain and the USB connector, and it should act as a very fast keyboard. So the thing is, once you plug it into a computer, you can actually write a payload on it, and it will execute that payload extremely fast on the victim computer. And I know that some of you knew some tricks, with the U3, with USB in the past, but that's different because that's not really doing anything malicious. It's just simulating a keyboard, so it's okay. So all of the antivirus companies that blocking things. That are being connected to the machine, like hot plugins, stuff like that, that will not help them, because that's just like, connecting an external keyboard to the machine. And the cool stuff is that, yes, you can use it for typing stuff really fast, but you can also use it for hacking or for malicious stuff, as we do. So the software that we're using to actually write the payloads and execute, of course, you can see it in here. There is for Mac, Linux, different types of different versions of them, and of course I've used Arduino 101. So what I did, I grabbed some code from the internet. I wrote some code. So what this small thing should do, hopefully, if it will work, is actually to add an admin user on that machine, and it should work, pretty fast. So it should take less than a minute to actually plug it in, wait a minute, plug it out, and then I'll have probably a new admin user on that machine. So if you're sitting, with your friends or with your victims somewhere, and they're, turning the head to a different direction or just going to the toilet to take a piss or something, you can plug it in, plug it out pretty fast. You'll have a user on their machine. So, sorry, what? Well, if the screen is locked, it will not work. You'll have to use the FireWire first and then do that, because the thing is, it's simulating a keyboard. Okay, another important thing when you're writing code, I'm not going to go through the code screens because it's pretty boring. Probably all of you know how to write code. The important thing is to think like a keyboard when you're writing code. So for example, if you're writing code for Windows 7, the steps to go to a CMD would be to click on the Windows button and then type CMD and then enter. So that's what we need to do to open a CMD. But on Windows XP, you need to type the Windows button, then press R, which will take you to the ran command, and then type CMD. So what I'm trying to say is that the payloads for Windows 7 will not work on Windows XP and vice versa. So when you're building your payload, you need to think exactly how would a user type those things in that specific OS that you're going to attack. Okay, so let's go to the demo now. So I actually have a long cable just so you could see that I'm plugging it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this Tinsy to this cable now. Yeah.
How many engineers does it take?
And then I'll plop this cable. So I'll put it in here, and I'll plop this cable to the machine. And before that, I'll just show you the users on that machine. So there is 4 users on that machine, right? So I should get a 5th user on that machine now. So I'm going to plug it in. Yeah. So you should see some stuff on the screen because it's actually like a keyboard, but it should be pretty quick. So that's the Windows, user creation protection and everything. Okay, it should be done, I think. Let's see. Let's wait another few seconds.
Yeah, again, live demo, so, sometimes.
Yeah. We're not sure exactly. We haven't measured exactly how much time does it take, so let's see if we have a new user. No, we don't, so let's try it again. So plug it in again, let's wait a bit longer. And again, my code is not perfect. Probably you can write a better code that will do it, faster and more precise way. But let's see. Okay.
Yeah, remember, this is to show you guys some basic stuff. Of course, you can write some cool code that, makes it a bit more not so obvious for the user. Exactly. But that's not the point of this one. This is to show you some basic things.
So let's check again the user list. Okay, and now you can see that there is another user, POC Windows 7, proof of concept Windows 7. So that's an admin user on the system that wasn't there before. So we'll go here to local users, user. You can see that's my new user on the machine. Now I can just log into that machine, do whatever I want. So that was our second demo. And of course you can write whatever code you want. I just wrote a code that will add a user. You can write a code that will, collect all of the emails on the machine and send it somewhere. And okay, so that was our Teensy demo. Of course, you have it on the slides where to buy that stuff and how to write the code and everything. And the next thing we're going to show is RFID.
Okay, so the next little favorite we have is RFID. I'm not sure how many of you guys have a proxcard to enter your office or where you work, that sort of thing. A little card like on that picture there. What happens often, we've seen, is that some companies may even have quite expensive equipment, but it's not really configured in a secure manner because either they're lazy or they don't know what they're doing. So what we're talking about for this here is actually the sort of low-frequency cards at 125 kilohertz. And some very common vendors for these sort of things is HID, like you said on the slides, right? And like I said, you'll find these a lot in corporate environments. We saw them a lot here when we arrived at the airport, for instance, and that sort of thing. And remember, these are passive tags, right? So the actual card, you can see there on the slide, has the little antenna on the coil there, a little chip, but it's actually powered by the reader. So that means actually you have to be quite close usually to the reader to read the tag, right? Because it's the reader that will power the card. And one of the quite common or popular technologies is this HID proxcard, right? That we find a lot. Like we said, we saw it here too at the airport. And a lot of companies have this sort of thing. It's been around for quite some time. And again, I'm not going to go into all the bits and bobs about it, but what you see a lot is this sort of 26-bit value in the card, right? And what you have in there, you'll actually have a facility code and a sort of unique number for the card. You can see it there, right? And then there's some other bits and bobs before that called a preamble. And then it depends really on if it's a 26-bit card, 27-bit. There's a bunch of variations. But what we're interested in when we want to pwn, companies is to get the facility code and the unique card number. And like I said before, usually what happens, since it's a passive card, you have to be very close to the reader, so about 3-4 inches normally. So what we can do is we actually implemented a funny little project where you take a bigger reader that you'll normally find like in a parking garage or something like that, because that one is bigger, has a bigger coil. The one we did was to slap in a battery pack with 12 volts in there. But that will allow you to read the card at a much further distance, actually up to around 24 inches, so 0.6 meters. And so what happens is in the reader, it will actually output like a pulse train, right? It's called the Wiegand protocol. Again, we're not going to go into all the details of that, but you actually hook it up to the reader, 2 wires, and then you can get 2 pulse trains, like ones and zeros. And that will allow you to, when the reader reads the card, you'll get the facility code and the unique serial number, right? And then you need a little device. In this case, we just used a little Arduino type board to actually get the serial communication, actually read those pulse trains, decode them, and save them to an SD card. And this is kind of what it looks like, right? The problem is we've actually taken this through sort of airport security. Well, tried to a number of times, but usually they're not very happy. So we didn't actually bring it this time because after all this Boston crap, the bombs and stuff like that, they're really sort of itchy, these people, and they get very suspicious when they see this sort of crap, right? So we unfortunately, we couldn't bring it here. So I made some videos to show it, but it's actually pretty big. It's sort of the size of like an old school vinyl record, about 12 by 12 inches. And I'll show you here some videos I made so you can see how it works. So sorry again for that we couldn't bring it. It's more fun to see it like live, right? But we simply couldn't do it. So here first, I'll show you a little video where we just read the tag, so you can see that we can do this at a distance, right? There's on the floor. When it beeps, it reads, and you can actually tweak the machine so you don't hear the beep. Obviously, if you're walking around with this thing a bit covert, you don't want it to beep. But you can see there, it's quite a distance. It also depends, of course, if the batteries are charged. There could be other interference. If you have the reader close to some metal object, it will actually decrease the reading distance. I'll show you another video here where we actually read from a distance, right? So in this case, someone has the reader in the bag, sort of, and someone walks past. So you can see it's at a distance. So if you stand like in an elevator or somewhere like that, or if you sort of put the reader in the bag, like this person has, you can walk around like maybe in a lunch area or something and sweep for tags. Yeah. So you can see inside there our we call it the Frankencloner because it's so fucking ugly, There you see the various bits and bobs. And then finally, I would like to show you just kind of the workflow so you can see all the components and how it fits together. So here, just to explain what's happening. First, we're going to read a card. We have this Russian little device that allows you to clone these cards. So you can just program whatever code you want, right? Facility code and serial number to show you what the numbers are. Then we're going to read it in the reader and show you in debug mode that it's actually being read, and then actually take out the SD card to see that something was actually written to the card itself. So here we go. Here's the Russian reader. We read the card. There you can see facility code is 010 and then elite, the number. Then we move over.
That's your fingers in there?
That's my fingers because I like, fingernails. We read it. There's the Arduino and the SD card reader, right? And we move over to the machine that's in debug mode. You can see actually what was read there, the bits. So it's actually written to the SD card. Then we take out the SD card. Yes, come on now. And we put it into a little adapter. Then we're going to slap into the machine so you can actually see the text file that's being written right after it was read. So we put it in the machine, and there, it's a bit hard to see, but you should see a little file called card loot with the numbers. There you can see, that's the stuff that's actually written into the file. It's a bit hard to see, but you can see there. And again, the idea is to actually take this, like she had in her bag or something, walk around, sweep for numbers, save them to the SD card, because after that, we can actually use that Russian device I showed you to program cards with these facility codes and numbers that we found, right? And the way to do it, there's something called the T55 sort of series cards that emulate this sort of tag. So we can actually program them to emulate these sort of tags that we have read, right? And you can use something like this. These are really good devices. You can buy them in Russia and Ukraine and places like that. They're much better, I think, than the Chinese stuff you can get on eBay, because these are actually engineered properly. And you can also use something called the proxmark, because people have written some pretty cool tools and scripts. Some dude at Foundstone, where if you just put in, for instance, the facility code and the card number, you can start increasing, for instance, the facility code will usually be the same, right? But if you have one good card number, you can actually start just trying other ones in that range, because maybe we have the card to someone who has access to the building, but not the server room, but that's probably within a very close range. So we can just keep trying these various numbers by using something like the proxmark. And yeah, and then you can see our slides where to buy some of these things. I must get props as well, because this sort of project was actually developed by, it's in the slides somewhere, someone actually did a lot of work on that. And there's a guy called, he has a site called there we go. You can see at the bottom there, props to that person who wrote that stuff. And also proxclone. There's a guy who's really good at these sort of things. I'm not sure where he's from, but he actually written some very good stuff about the sort of formats of these HID cards, because it's kind of hard to understand how that works, because it's kind of like security through obscurity. Anyway, that's it for the RFID.
Okay. So the next thing is keyloggers, and that's the definition from Wikipedia. And as you can see in yellow, they're mostly focusing on keyboards. So what we're saying is that in the past, if you used a keylogger to grab some information from a victim, you would probably use like a PS2 or a USB keylogger that will probably collect some data, and then you'll go back and grab it. And the thing is that it's really bulky, and you can actually see it. So if somebody will look, behind his computer or something, he will see your keylogger pretty easily. Because usually they're like gray or white or something like that. So they're different from the keyboard color and everything. What we're saying is that the future is actually screenloggers and not keyloggers. So we have in here VGA screen logger, and you can see that it's in perfect blue, like the VGA cable actually. So it's pretty hard to tell the difference. It has a small add-on, so you need that add-on to actually read the information from the screen logger. And we think it's really cool to actually see what's happening on the screen, because we saw that in some banks and in some credit card companies. You cannot type your password to log into your account, but you need to actually open like a virtual keyboard and then click with your mouse. So I would say it's pretty hard to get those things from a regular keylogger, but with our screen logger, you could definitely capture those things. Yeah,
because remember, a lot of times it's actually the data you're after. I mean, yes, you can get a shell or whatever, but often it's actually the data itself, and often it might only be available on the screen. that's when this comes in handy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And of course, there is we're showing you a VGA one. There is a DVI one. We actually have it in here.
There's also like HDMI, because a lot of boardrooms still have a nice, shiny, big-ass LCD screen, right? That they used to hook up their laptops and things like that. So HDMI is also a nice one.
Okay, so those are the screen loggers. Now, on the other hand, we have this small thing, and that's an internal keylogger. So that's really nice because it's pretty hard to notice. Now, anybody, those two pictures, anybody could tell the difference, the visual difference? Anybody sees a difference? No? Nobody can notice the difference between those two? 500 zloty, if somebody could figure out the difference, the visual difference between those two. No? Okay, because there is no difference. The thing is that in one of them, this is actually plugged inside, and in the other, it's just a brand new keyboard. So we actually used those things. You could see in the slides, how to plug it in, but that's how it looks like. So you can see that small thing in here connected, and that's just a regular Dell keyboard that we took. So we plugged it in, shoved it back to the Dell keyboard, and then it looks like brand new. And that's a very nice way to monitor, because nobody will open his keyboard every day to check that there is no keylogger in there, right? I don't think that. Maybe some people might check behind their computer every day, but nobody will open his keyboard. Okay, next thing, of course, there's some serial ones, so it's nice for printers and stuff, but that's pretty known. So let's go to the interesting stuff, the demo. So what we're going to do is actually.
Yeah, Yaniv's going to hook up a VGA monitor here. So imagine this is your CEO, he's hanging out in his office, checking out his spreadsheets, surfing some porn maybe. So that's the VGA cable to that screen over here. I'm just going to take my keylogger and plug it in. So it's in line, right, between the TAC and then I'm just going to plug it to the victim machine. So you'll have to excuse us for a sec. We'll switch from the projector from one screen to another. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit clunky. Sorry about this. Can you plug it in? Yes. I'm going to plug it in here. So I'm going to plug the keylogger to that machine. So do you see anything in that screen? Yeah, okay. That's good. Again, it's pretty hard to do those live demos, so we're doing it in a ghetto-style way, the way we like to work. Okay. So we have top secret documents. You should have a look on that screen. That one is for the next thing. So we'll have some DoD, Department of Defense, the American Department of Defense, some classified documents. Top secret stuff Yaniv stole from some general. No. So, yeah, we can go through the documents. Just imagine that somebody's sitting in his office reading it. Now, the thing is that you can actually configure the keylogger, and you can configure, the snapshot time. So it could take a snapshot every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It has, I think, 2 gigs built in. So it could store up to 2 gigs of like a regular JPEG files in there. That's quite a lot if you just want to steal, something specific, like let's say a specific document. You can also set the resolution, right? So you can... Exactly. You can play with everything with the resolution and with a lot of other things in the config file. So what we're going to do, hopefully took the screenshot by now. I'm going to unplug it. I'm going to add this little thing in here. So that's the little module required to actually put it into sort of data mode so you can read out the data that you captured. If it will work. If it works, how many engineers does it take to? Okay. So now it just needs to, it will turn on to be like a mass storage device now. The cool thing is like a lot of the stuff we're showing here, you can actually buy it here in Poland. So we love Poland that you have.
Yeah,
these
we
things.
actually got those keyloggers in Poland, so it's really nice that you can. Okay, so you can see that's sort of the mass storage device on the keylogger. That's the config file that we were talking about. You can configure different stuff in there. And that's the interesting part. That's the image folder. So let's see. Well, we have pretty old laptops in here, so it takes time.
Blame our employers.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, for example, it didn't have time to take a snapshot from the document, but it took a snapshot, and you know, we could wait a little bit more. Let's see in the config. I think it's configured to take a snapshot every 30 seconds or something. Yeah, probably every 5. It's probably 5 minutes, so it probably took just one screenshot. But as you can see, it's pretty nice. It will take screenshots like that, and then you can just collect a lot of data, come back in the evening, pick it up again, and you know, read the stolen data that you just took. So that was the keylogger part. Of course, you can buy those things in keylog.com, and they're in Poland. I'm not sure where, but that should be easy. And to our last demo, Pineapple.
Yeah, so the last one we have, I mean, if there's people in this room, you probably have maybe bought one of these, but not everyone knows about it. So there's a thing called, they call it the Pineapple. And the idea of this is actually to run, again, a lot of people in this room is probably familiar with a tool called Karma, right? So when computers probe for access points, Karma will actually just respond, say, hey, that's me, and allow you to connect. So it's almost like an inverse war driving type scenario. Because it's good, of course, if you can have people connect to you, because then you'll be man in the middle, and then you can do whatever you want. You know, run SSL strip, do DNF spoofing, all these sort of fun things you can do, again, to steal your data or get passwords and stuff like that. A quick history about these sort of things. Again, FireWire 0 days. This is old stuff. I mean, do you know, Dazovi did this stuff like almost 10 years ago, right? And then they put that stuff into Metasploit. And then people started to implement this as standalone sort of hardware devices, right? And here you can see, I mean, you can take like an old netbook like Asus 900 and do that sort of crap on, or some of these other like Fonera, you know, Nokia N900. There's the original Pineapple. They would sell it to you like in a plastic Pineapple. And then down here we have, it's called the AP121 U. We're actually running it here, so it looks like this. So you can just put it with a battery pack. Then you can, of course, carry that around with you and do these attacks on companies or people at the mall or stuff like that.
Also, don't try to go to airport with that one. They don't like this one.
Yeah,
like that.
another one that they fucking hate when you show this, right? They get really spooked out. But it's easier with this one than the RFID because I can break this down and you can't really, you know, tell what it is. Again, you can see here what I talk about some of these devices. So what you can do, I know there's a company called Hack5 that actually sell these kind of expensive, but if you're more of a hacker type, so
that's what we think about them.
well, yeah. But it's of course more fun to flash these things yourself to understand how that crap works. So what you can do is just buy like an Alpha AP121U, that one I have there. You can buy a battery pack as well. Then you just get a USB to serial cable, something like this. You can get that on eBay for very cheap, $3-4 from China. And open it up, there you have the pins. You connect them and follow these steps at WiFiPanel.com so you can flash the device yourself, right? And then you'll have this sort of web GUI where you can configure things. And actually what we're running here now is just spoofing. I set up the SID2 Confidence 2013, like the one they have here, but this is not encrypted. So we'll check later if anyone connected, but if you did, you would have seen a stupid 9 cat. So I'm not sure if anyone saw the 9 cat here. No? We'll check the logs later.
From our experience, people are not saying, and then at the end, they're just showing us that they got pwned.
Yeah, it's funny.
So,
usually people say, we haven't seen the 9 cat, but when we check the logs, we can of course see who connected. But,
exactly.
But anyway, the idea with this again is to put yourself in the middle so you can steal data, right? So again, remember a lot of companies will have people check their email on like smartphones and stuff like that, and they will just click on anything and just not be too careful, right? So that's actually a very good little device to carry with you, portable, again in your bag or something, and then hook it up. Maybe you hook this up with to a 3G connection or your phone, so you can actually serve up internet, and they will serve through this device, and then we can of course, like I said, SSL strip, capture the data, send them to other sites, do whatever we need. So there we go.
Yeah, I'm just opening it to.
He's a hacker,
So let's see if we're trying to go to Google.
Yeah, also what's fun of course with Karma, remember some of the older operating systems like XP, if you've actually surfed at home at a site or you went to a hotel or something, say you were at a Sheraton in Dubai or something and you connected on an XP machine, it's actually saved as a place where you've been. So the next time you actually turn on your machine, it will start probing for that access point. So if we have something like this running, this will say, yes, we're like, I'm the Sheraton, blah, blah, blah. So there you can see.
So we try to surf to Microsoft.com because we love them, and that's what you get.
You can see, I'm not sure where we're connected. Maybe we can show them. Maybe we're connected to Heathrow or something. I don't know. Of course, the newer operating systems are a bit more secure, but especially stuff like XP, well, this works really well because it will just connect.
Yeah, we're connected to the Sheraton London Heathrow wireless network, which is total fake, of course. We can just put whatever name we want over there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
We have some funny stories. So we've been to some other conferences, and we stayed on the speaker floor with a bunch of other speakers, and we ran this, and it was pretty funny. Some people will not admit, but they totally connected to the stuff, man, and used it. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Even like experienced people, security people. So.
Okay, so just to wrap it all up, we think that hardware hacking is really nice. The stuff that we showed you, of course, it's just, demos, and it's pretty hard to show it on stage, but we showed you 5 nice demos in here. You can probably use them, do the same things, as pen testers or hackers or whatever. We think that you don't need to be really rich, because we saw that there are some companies that sell sort of tools for hackers, like to do those kind of things, but it's extremely expensive, like suitcases with forensics equipment that, with that equipment you can actually sort of monitor people and stuff like that. But at the end, it's the same equipment as we're showing here, and that's pretty cheap equipment, few hundreds of euros per thing, and you have it. We think it gets simpler and simpler because, some of the things that we did in here is either just to turn on a device or just to plug a cable or something. So you don't need to be like James Bond to do those kind of things. And we think you should build your own stuff also. Any questions? Yeah.
No. It will just, when you probe, it will say, yes, it's me. So it doesn't matter. If you probe, it will say that's it, right? So whatever you probe for, it will serve it up. So it's pretty good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just hold on a second.
I have questions about the first attack that you showed. Is this attack successful only when the user first log onto the computer? I'm talking about attack with the Bitlocker encrypted drive.
Attacking with what?
The first attack.
The FireWire
Yes,
attack.
yes,
Yeah.
with the Bitlocker. It is successful, this attack, only when the user first log onto the computer and the credentials are in the RAM.
Well, no, you don't need to be logged into the computer. As long as you don't have a pre-boot authentication, it's enough just to turn on the computer. So if you have a totally turned off computer with Bitlocker and fully patched Windows 7, and it's totally turned off, and I'll just steal your computer and I'll press the button without even logging in, the FireWire will work because it doesn't look for your specific user password. It looks for the admin on the machine. So it will run on the memory, scan for the specific signature that it's looking for, and that's it. So to your question, it doesn't matter if you're logged in or not, or if you have been logged in or not. Other questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.